In the back of my mind, I know I have a bit more homework to catch up on, but it's quite comfortable in here. No one can find me and force me into working for their pet project either. Though, now that I'm thinking about the festival, another question comes up. Hey Hanako, what are you doing for the festival? For a split second, I think that Hanako is about to throw her book in the air from shock. Sorry? I was just asking what you're doing for the festival tomorrow. Anything planned? Is this the equivalent of asking her out on a date and I haven't realised? I don't know. Hanako answers in the way that people do when they don't want you to ask any more questions. I take it large crowds and loud music aren't really her thing. Oh, okay. Change the subject, change the subject. So, what's Lily's sister like? Well, I was trying to think of anything he could have possibly said, and even that didn't spring to mind, so well done. She's nice. She's pretty like Lily, but she dresses business-like. Business-like? She's always wearing a suit. Ah, I see, and that makes her less pretty somehow? What a horrible judging question that is, dear God. Okay, Hanako gives an embarrassed shake of her head. No, just different. I'll admit it, this has got me intrigued. To hear Hanako talk about someone other than Lily is a first, and to be complimentary about it too. But as I try to picture this mysterious sister, all I can think of is Lily in a suit. And I can't imagine that not being attractive. Not at all. Wow. Well, one day you'll have to introduce me to her. Okay. Our brief conversation ends as abruptly as it started, and we both return to our novels. Well, good book then, I take it. The passage of time is marked only by the gradual movement of the patch of light cast through the window. Slowly, the noises from the various rehearsals in the building fade out and die as students start to get hungry and tired. Just thinking about that makes my stomach start to turn knots around itself. I think it's time to head back. Do you think Lily would be back by now? I think I might head back to my dorm. I'm pretty tired from this week. And not a word of that is a lie. Moving to a new school as it ramps up for a major event has been taxing, to say the least. I can feel myself nodding off as I read my book. Okay, I might stay here a little longer. Looking at Hanako's book, I can see that she is only a few pages away from completing it. For a moment, I consider hanging around until she finishes, but once again my stomach turns, emitting a gurgling sound. Sure thing, well I'm going to head off before it gets dark. I'll see you around, okay? Okay, see you, Hisao. Later. Hisao? Thank you for hanging out with me. Oh. That's a response I didn't get. I was expecting to say, are you okay, as I stumbled across or something. I can see how hard it was for her to get the simple sentence out of her mouth. It leaves me hanging for a moment. So, there is someone in this school who is even lonelier than me. Maybe lonely is the wrong word. I haven't been lacking company for this first week, but I've still managed to feel somewhat alone and detached. What kind of reaction is that? Instead of going, thank you, Hanako, he goes, wow. Even more lonelier than me. What kind of reaction is that? Oh dear. Maybe lonely is a wrong word for Hanako too. She has Lily after all, doesn't she? I realise I've been standing there far too long without answering and pull off a flawless, but not too exaggerated smile. You're welcome. Good night, Hanako. Night. I leave her to finish her book and head back to the dorms and the promise of food. Right. So now it will be the morning. It's the festival. And it will probably be loud and it will be horrible and I'll have to shout over it or something. They're almost always like that. I do like that opening eye graphic when you wake up. That is pretty cool. Right, anyway, the next day I wake up feeling a little lightheaded. It's almost noon already. Sleeping late is fine since it's Sunday and there are no classes. Not just a Sunday though, but the festival as well. From my window I can already see some people at the soba booth slinging noodles onto plates for people with a craving for low quality food. Oh dear. I throw back a handful of my morning meds and ponder how to spend the day. There will be a few exams in the coming week, but I don't really consider those as ominous as others, so I'm not worried about them as I probably should be. With no urgent obligations regarding education, I should be free to spend the day at the festival as I like. Finishing my morning routine, I exit the hallway, intending to go out and find something to eat. Passing by his door, I decide to see what Kenji's up to today out of impulse. I'm curious if he has any plans, since everyone else is doing something. Then again, I can picture him having built some soundproof shelter in his room. Or possibly something like a fort, complete with "No Girls Allowed" sign. Is that a parody of Girls Allowed, you reckon? Just a thought. And with the girls crossed out and body crudely scrawled underneath it. No body allowed. Yeah. Why do I have to read that out loud to get that? That's shocking. Knocking on his door, which is luckily devoid of any kind of sign. I hear it again as the unsettling click of at least 10 locks being pulled back. The door opens up a crack. Who is it? You're supposed to ask that before you open the door. Oh, it's you. Damn, it's early. It's not really that early. Kenji's theme. What is it, man? Nothing. I was just going to ask you what you're going to do today. After school is out there already. Out where? Why? What? What? Is today special? Why are they there? Who are? I can hear them. It's loud. Don't tell me. As the invasion began, he suddenly looks more alarmed. What day is it, man? Yeah, I guess you can't see the big wooden booths outside and people selling stuff. What the hell are you talking about? I have my curtain closed at all times to thwart the snipers. It's the festival. You know that, right? Oh, shit, that's today. Damn it. I can't believe I forgot. I don't have my fort finished yet. This is bad. This is going to be a very bad day. It's good you told me this, man. This is going to be a bad day. Why? Oh, man, they're going to be everywhere. The people outside my window, socializing. Kenji rubs his temples nervously, suddenly looking very ill. It's going to be loud as hell. Damn, and I was going to go out today, but now it's ruined. Everything is ruined. This is awful. This sucks. What the hell? This really sucks. I can't go anywhere now. There's nowhere to run. Kenji seems nervous. You could even say he's majorly freaking out. I can't believe this. So that's what today was. Damn, and I couldn't even prepare for it. I couldn't even brace myself, and now it's here and I can't do anything. You should have told me this earlier, dude. I mean, at least I know, but I could have known earlier. Imagine what I could have accomplished. Sorry, I thought you knew. So, I guess you're not going to be doing anything today. The weather is good. Yesterday was really windy, so I thought today would be cold. It's not, though, so there's no reason to just stay inside. Yeah, you should check the festival out. Kenji groans and covers his face with his hands. No! I can't do it! They'll leave me alive out there, I know it! That has to be a joke. But he said it with a straight face. Relatively straight. What are you going to do? We should hang out in here. You can help me build my fort. We might still make it if we work together. Don't know, I'm pretty hungry, so I thought I'd get some food first and then check out the attractions. Your class project seemed pretty cool, and I gave a hand with it, so I want to see at least that one and chat with Lily, I guess. Speaking of that, don't you have any obligation for the project? Are you out of your mind? That blind broad is up to no good. I can feel it in my spleen, man. Her presence is like a dark shadow that's in the way of my great vision. As expected of blind people. Oh dear. What? Besides, I thought you were also... He holds up his hand to interrupt me. Only legally. Metaphorically, I can see farther than any man before has seen. Right. Kenji looks stoically into the metaphorical distance to emphasize his statement, thrusting his chin forward to look manlier. Actually, it's just the corridor wall 2 meters away, but it's all the same. I can see the future of mankind, and it's a dark one unless the threat of woman is stifled. They are everywhere. He fingers his scarf nervously, faster and faster, like he's trying to start a fire, then slowly begins to calm down once the panic attack finishes and running its course. I'm going to have to find some place to hide in, a safe haven, and then knock the lights out of myself so that I don't have to experience this horrible day. I have a perfect thing for that. I must prepare now. Don't go to the festival. Okay. Later, dude. The door slowly closes with a low creak, and I don't know how I feel about what Kenji just said. Why did I even go to speak with him in the first place? I do not know, but sure. After buying a plastic plate of takoyaki from a stall belonging to the class next to ours, I take a seat in the school gardens and watch people pass as I tentatively nibble away at their rather bland tasting item. I guess I shouldn't complain. It's better than nothing and it didn't cost much. As I look out towards the school, watching the people coming and going proves a surprisingly entertaining way of passing the time as I eat. Little children accompanied by parents or grandparents scamper about in the din from event to event, one hand dragging their company and the other bearing an oversized colourful snack. I can't help but notice the age range among the people here is skewed towards the elderly, something that I'd also noticed when I was walking around town. This must be one of the towns where the only people left are those that lived here their whole lives and ardently refused to leave, and those wanting to live out the rest of their days in one of those increasingly few tranquil places. I guess that goes away to explaining how conservative Yamaku's school culture seems to be. Not that I mind one bit. I kind of like how calm Yamaku and his surroundings are. The heat, though, is another matter entirely. Sitting in one place for so long has focused my mind on how annoyingly humid it's getting, now that the hottest part of the day is here. I'd better get moving if... The sound of the carillon bells takes me completely by surprise as I stand up, a reaction shared by a few of the people strolling around as well. The PA system crackles to life after the tolling bells end. Its age shows as the principal makes a barely intelligible announcement over it, officially opening the festival that's very much in full swing. It's quite amusing to contrast the pleasant smiles of the older folk against the alternatively pained and bored grimaces of their younger charges. The students, on the other hand, seem to pay it little heed. Nevertheless, as the address finally ends, all are united in polite, if not overly enthusiastic, applause, and then get back to the business. Slipping a hand in my pocket to look as relaxed as possible, I casually glance around for something to do. It's somewhat difficult to see very far with all the people around. They could have kept that people graphic in, but sure. I decide to fall back on a tried and trusted rule. Go where everyone else seems to be gathering. Right now, that's the school courtyard and surroundings. Throwing the used plate into the trash can, I make my way towards the school building. Seeing the number of stalls around the perimeter of the school building surprises me. Quite a few of the classes must have opted to have multiple stalls. In deciding which to visit first, I catch a sight of a similar banner with a blue pattern border and red text. Lily's stall is as good as a place to start as any. I'm curious as to how it's going. After all, the work she and her class have been doing for it. Stepping up to it, I begin to see why the class took so long to organise everything. Easily twice as wide as many of the other stalls, and with equipment for cooking and cooking strewn everywhere, it's closer to an outdoor restaurant than a festival event. As a student in front of me takes a bowl of noodles and leaves, I walk up to the counter. The girl behind it seems quite exasperated and asks me to wait a moment before she disappears under the counter. Seizing the moment, I take a quick glance around. Steam seems to be rising from everywhere as pots and pans simmer away. The most blind the students are unpacking ingredients while being helped by someone who is probably the teacher of 3-2. It doesn't take long to notice Lily among them, talking with the teacher as she quickly counts the boxes and packets with her fingers. From her expression and the fact that both she and the teacher seem to be in a state of mild confusion, it appears that there's some problem in coordination. Before I can stare any longer, the girl behind the counter pops up again, only to look back and ask where the spare change box is. Lily pauses for a moment before she and the girl switch places at the counter, and the teacher quickly walks off somewhere. Sorry about that, we're having a few problems. What would you like? It takes me a second to remember what I'd come here for. My eyes quickly dart to the side to read the menu sitting in the counter. Oh, I guess some miso soup? Is that Hisao? Yep, looks like you're pretty busy. Her face all but confirms as she drops her waitress facade. Somewhere along the line, our order got mixed up. We're trying to fix it now, but it looks like we only have half of what we needed. Wouldn't serving smaller portions cover the problem? It seems like that's what we'll have to do, though I wish we didn't. The fact that a good half of our class is gone doesn't help either. I glance behind her to see how many people are actually operating the school. Stool? It couldn't be over about 8. I take it that's why your teacher left? That's right, she's going to try to round up a few more classmates to help. Hearing the sound of footsteps behind me, I stealthily glance backwards to see an elderly couple taking a place in the line. I guess I'd better stop loitering around and chatting. Here's some money for the soup. Soup! Oh, right, coming right up. Lily turns and calls for a bowl of miso soup as I hand over the money for it. Taking the coins in her palm, I can't help notice how efficiently she counts them out with her long pale fingers. Eventually satisfied that I've handed over the correct change, she puts it in a small metal tray. It isn't long before my soup is made and carefully handed to her, after which she turns and subsequently passes it to me. Thanks, I'll come back to drop off the bowl. Thank you, Hisao. Oh, there is one other thing. Have you seen Hanako? Hanako? No, not today. Why? She gives a small sigh of abject disappointment. It's okay. I was just wondering what she was doing for the festival. You come back when you're done then. Sure, I'll keep an eye out for Hanako too. Thank you, Hisao. I walk off from the stall and find a seat, carefully cradling the steaming wooden bowl in both hands. Compared to the dumplings from before, this is quite nice. A little cool compared to what it probably should be, perhaps, but the flavour is enough to cover for that reasonably well. As I drink, I can't help but feel somewhat guilty for not being as involved as the festival as the others. It can't really be helped, considering I was dropped into the school only a week ago, but it still weighs heavily on my mind. That and the fact that a few students don't really seem to be enjoying the festival as much as the visitors. Eventually, I finish my bowl and leave for the stall to drop it off. Considering that there seems to be no line at all, I take my time walking up. It seems that the teacher's mission's paid off. There are now over a dozen students helping, and much of the unpacking has been undone. Despite most of them seeming quite relaxed as they work, Lily appears to be somewhat stressed. Lily doesn't look impressed at all, and I can't really blame her. On top of her issues with her stall, she seems to be worried about Hanako. I can't really help her with the former, so I guess the only way I can help is by trying to take her mind off our shy mutual friend. Placing the bowl in the counter, I call out to Lily. Hey Lily, don't worry about Hanako, I'll go and find her and hang out with her, okay? I can see Lily's relief plainly written across her face. Thanks, Hisao. And if you see anyone from my class, can you tell them to come back here, please? Will do. Have a good one, and make sure you take a break, okay? I will if I can. See you later, Hisao. I leave Lily in the stall and head out in search for Hanako. In a way, I feel bad for leaving her with the crowds, but even though she was clearly under pressure, I can't help but think that she is enjoying herself. The halls are packed with swaying crowds meandering throughout the festival. If there's one thing I know about Hanako, it's that she's not going to be anywhere near this. And with students showing their friends and family their dorms, I doubt she'll be there either. Following blind intuition, I move against the grass. Blind intuition, how amazingly tasteless. Right, but I imagine she's either in the class or the library. And because, come on, he goes to the library, right? Thankfully, this crowd seems to be slightly less... I do have to point out, now, for anyone comments, when I said, who goes to the library, right, what I actually meant was, who goes to the library during a festival. Unless you don't like parties or festivals. In that case, I understand. Right, festive than your usual festival crowd. I assume this is out of consideration for the student body. As I force my way through the masses, it doesn't take long for them to thin down into nothingness. Near the library. This is not surprising, since I am standing before the library. Yeah, exactly. Even the most eager of students don't bother to show anyone this section of the school. As I enter the library, the noise of the festival fades into dull background noise, and soon I am in the reading area at the rear of the room. Behind one of the partitions desk I see the top of a head, with straight dark hair catching my eye. Hey Hanako, I had a feeling I'd find you here. The head jumps a little in shock before slowly peeping over the partition. Hisao? Hey, Lily's pretty busy, so she sent me to find you. Oh, do you want to sit down? Actually, I'm feeling a little hungry. Would you like to get something to eat from one of the stands? I brought some food, so I shouldn't be surprised, but it was worth a try. Expecting her to go outside today was a long shot. How about we eat in the tea room? I passed by it on the way here and no one was around. We can make some food there, and it will be a little more comfortable. What do you say? Sure, let's go. Hanako closes her book and puts away with deliberate practice movements. Good to go? Yeah. We walk side by side from the library to the tea room. As expected, there is barely a soul around. If it weren't for the murmurs through the walls, you wouldn't tell that there was a huge festival going on outside. Hanako carries her bag in both hands and focuses on just the floor ahead of her. Every now and again, she seems to break her pace a little and steps in slightly shorter paces. The first time it happened, I gave it no mind, but I soon noticed that she does it on a regular basis. Are you alright? She stops dead in her tracks. What? I don't know, it looked like you were tripping or something. A pink blush rises into her cheeks as her gaze returns to the floor. It's nothing. You know, when you say nothing like that, people are inspired to ask further questions. For a second, I don't think she's going to answer. Prepared to leave it be, I almost set off walking again when... It's a game. A game? Game? Do you see the floor here? What a bizarre question. The floor looks like just any other floor. Covered in those tiles made up from squares of linium. Ah, she can't step on the cracks or the edges, I get it. Nothing noteworthy? Well, yes, what about it? Well, sometimes, when there's no one around, I only step on the darker ones. Hanako's voice trails off as her explanation continues, until I can barely hear her voice over the roaring silence of the empty hall. Darker ones? Shuffling her feet, Hanako points her toe of her shoe at a tile that is barely a shade darker than the others. Like these ones. Oh right, so these ones are no good. I point out a nearby tile. Yeah, something like that. Oh, I see. Do you play this game a lot? Hanako shakes her head. Just when the halls are empty. She nods. Well then, no point in stopping. I'm beginning to get really hungry. She nods again, this time with a little more enthusiasm. Well then, let's go. We set off down the hall. At this time, I notice that Hanako is paying a little less attention to the floor. I wonder, just how lonely does someone have to be to come up with a game like that? Well, to be fair, it's not like it's completely unheard of, is it? But sure. But before realising what I'm doing, I find myself trying to aim each step so it lands on the correct tiles. Ah, see Hasao, we all come round to temptation sooner or later.